Hey y'all, I know it's late or early, whichever way you look at it. I'm usually all about trying to make a channel to motivate people to try to get out of depression and anxiety. Um, but I need to tell you my story. My story started in 2010. In 2010, I met the love of my life, Chad, and I had just gotten divorced, and we were just, when I met him, the room stopped. Only him and me seemed to exist. We were just like love at first sight for both of us. But we both had a lot of problems. I drank too much at the time, and he had addiction problems and health issues. So I'm having a rough night tonight because I really miss him, and there's no one that can take his place. So, like, the loneliness that I feel, it can't be, nothing can make it better. Prayer, hugging a friend, hugging my kids, nothing can make it better. We had a son together, 2015, November, and while I was pregnant, he had gotten in trouble with the law for drugs, and at that time, I did not really realize how bad he was doing. I thought it was just mental problems and dealing with his Crohn's disease. So he got out of jail and he was so happy. And he got out 2 weeks before I gave birth to our son Silas, and moved in with us for a while, and things seemed to be doing well. But I kept finding signs of addiction and, his drug use. I did a lot of things that I shouldn't have, yelled at him and, was mad at him, made him leave, and because I didn't know how to handle it. So it just got out of control. We kept getting back together. So we really loved each other, but we both did things that were just, not good for ourselves. So he overdosed several times. 2017, a couple times very serious in the hospital. Was a methamphetamine addiction, and he would try to come off of it by taking prescription drugs that were like used for sleeping, and he would overdose. He would just take them until, he was trying to feel better, and so he overdosed several times. During that time, a lot got held between me and his family. He didn't want them to know what he was doing, and he didn't want me to know. So there was many nights that I was looking for him. Our son was crying for him. I did a lot of mistakes during that time. We tried to work things back out, and I regret every day that I broke up with him. I think it was right before 2017. It was like around Christmas time, because I couldn't do it. Didn't want my son and our son to be around it, and I thought that would help him get better. So we talked every day still. His family didn't know half of the extent of our time spent together and his time spent with his son. So he overdosed, and his family did not tell me. He flatlined in the hospital, and they had to bring him back, and he signed himself out against medical advice. I didn't know any of this until later. I'm a registered nurse, for one thing, which makes me feel like, why didn't I see the signs? I knew if he kept on that he wasn't going to live a long life, but I had no idea that it was going to be as short as it was. He called me up and said, please come get me. I miss our family. I want to be with you and Silas and my other son. So I picked him up, and he stayed with us for, I think it was 5 or 6 days when I was off of work. And he was really weak. He didn't feel good. He was really cold and tired, but he had health problems always. I mean, I saw it, but I was blind to it as well because I just thought he would get better again. So I have insomnia real bad. I couldn't sleep for a couple days, and so he was kind of crabby because I had woke him up. So he slept in the back bedroom, and that was a Sunday night, and I had to work Monday, and I'd been off most of that week. So I was very quiet, trying to let him sleep. He had told me that he loved me, and I told him I loved him too. And we talked a lot, and he was just really peaceful and content during this time we were together. And we wanted to work on being back together. He brought clothes. I was going to let him move back in. I went to work. He hadn't been charging his cell phone. He really hadn't been on his phone. He had just been resting and playing with his son and talking to me. And so when I went to work in the morning, I texted him, and he never answered. But I thought, well, he didn't have his phone on. So I texted him a little bit later, and he didn't answer. And I had just a bad feeling. So I left work early and picked up our son from daycare. And when I came home, I went to put the key in the lock. Actually, I went to open the door, and it was still locked. And you can only lock it from the inside. So, opened the door. When I walked in, the AC was really cold. And I looked, and like his cigarettes and stuff that I had laid on the counter, they hadn't been moved at all, and everything was still in place. So I walked back to the back bedroom, and the door was still shut. He had shut the door when he went to bed that night. And when I opened the door, I saw him laying on the floor. He was on a sleeping bag that he was laying on the floor because he was coming down from withdrawing from methamphetamine, and he said his back hurt. He complained his right shoulder hurt, but it had hurt for like a year, and he had told the doctors. And so he was laying there face down with his arms like he had just fallen asleep, but I knew he wasn't moving anymore. And you could just tell that he wasn't in the right position. So I dropped my stuff and started screaming, "Baby, no, baby, no." I was trying to shake his arms, and I couldn't move him. I couldn't even move him. And I touched the back of his head like this. He always kept his head shaved, and it was really cold. I don't want to put too much detail because I don't want to be disrespectful to his family or anyone that might watch it. But I knew the state he was in, that he'd been dead for hours. And there was nothing I could do about it. So I just started screaming. I dumped my purse out on the floor, trying to find my cell phone. And I was screaming, just like screams I can't even imagine to describe to you. Our son, who is gonna be 3, but he's very intelligent. He was trying to wake his daddy up. And when I saw that, I screamed, and I grabbed my phone, and I grabbed our son, and I ran into the front room calling 911, but I just kept screaming and screaming. So we went outside. They were on their way there. They were asking me, like, have you tried CPR? And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, he's been gone for too long. Like, he's gone. And so the neighbors helped me out until help got there. And then anytime, of course, that a young person dies and there's no immediate cause right in front of them, they have to treat it like a homicide. So a CSI team showed up and they searched my house, asked me a million questions, and I'll tell you one thing is I don't remember anything other than screaming. My parents came and my friend came, and that's all I remember. So, like, people say, oh, they were questioned, they don't remember saying that. I have no idea what I said. I know I had nothing to do with harming him, which was later proved, but his family, like, did not know what happened. They didn't even know he was at my house. So, until the autopsy reports and the medical examiner, like, finished everything, they wouldn't really speak to me. A few of them would. I'm not going to call anybody out. But they didn't allow me or my sons to go to the funeral. Now, he raised my oldest son. He helped raise him since he was 3.5, almost 4 years old. And he's only been gone for 1 year. He died last August 13th of 2018. And so my oldest son never got to say goodbye, really. He never got to grieve. A coworker of mine, I found out at the last minute they were having a funeral. It was a private visitation. So she helped me, and they screamed at me, and they screamed at my son, and just, we're suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder from the whole ordeal. But we got to go in there, and we got to see him for like 2 minutes, and then we had to leave. Only a couple of them have seen Silas, and he wakes up screaming for his dad. Or like, why are they... The other day you said, I want to talk to them mean people. And I said, who, Silas? And he said, the people who wouldn't let me go to my daddy's funeral. I don't talk about it that much, and I've not said anything bad. But he remembers, and he's so smart, but he wants his daddy back. He keeps saying, like, he's gonna figure out how to get a rocket ship and go to heaven, and maybe if he's good enough. He woke up screaming for another family member that he's seen a few times. But they're dealing with their own grief. So I just wanted to tell my story of why I want to help others to get over their depression and grief, because I'm going through it myself. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I just want you to understand that you're not alone. Whether it's grief or depression, those feelings are real. Just like Chad was real. He is real still. That's a picture of him when he was younger, before his Crohn's disease got too bad. Here's a picture of him and our son. Probably a year before he passed away, maybe. This one's like edited a little bit, but a photo of the last time that my son smiled like that with his dad. I'd say that was probably a month before he passed away. I keep tons of cards that he has, but with these pictures in my little prayer book, I keep this card. It says, "To my always, from your forever. Happy anniversary." And it says, "I love you very much, Lindsay. Words can't tell. Love, Chad." He's the one who called me Lulu all the time, so that's what I chose to go by now. Just know that things do get better. Right now is a weak moment, and I'm still grieving, and this is a way I know how to share my story and Chad's story. He was such a smart, intelligent person, but meth got to him, and if you are on drugs or you're doing drugs, stop doing it. I don't care what it takes. Go to rehab. Be prepared for your children to have to cry for their mom or dad every day or every night. Because it's real. I mean, you get one chance. And once your body's so damaged, I have never in my life seen meth except on the internet. I've never done meth. I've always just been someone that tried to help others and see the best in everyone. So I'm going through this, and it seems like everything else, like the devil's like, you know, knows that I'm weaker, or I'm down sometimes. It's just like things have just catapulted, you know, and gotten worse and worse and worse to the point where it has to get better. So I just keep trying to help other people. Every day is a better or a new day. Some days it comes back and just hits me in the face all over again. And then other days I'm able to go on, and maybe one day I'll be able to smile again and mean it. I try my best for my sons, but I just wanted to share this story with you of who I am and why I'm this way. And you never know what somebody's going through. So, much love. Thank you for listening. And, I know we're supposed to say subscribe. If you want, hit the bell. Just thank you for listening. Until later, hopefully I'll come at you tomorrow or in the near future with a much more positive video. Thank you for watching. Good night.